Culture is inevitable once you have people that live together. A culture is organically grown from them living together in community, and certain rights evolve from their living together. Whatever ties them together becomes the culture, and it becomes ritualized, and you enact this over and over, and it becomes the culture of let's say you're a household, you have you and your mom, that's it. There's a culture, it's you and your mom. You do certain things, don't you? The way you go to the bathroom is a certain kind of way. The way you eat is a certain kind of way. When you wake up in the morning, you do certain kinds of actions. It's always the same thing. If you don't do this thing, now something's happening. Your mom is going to say, is something wrong with you today? If she doesn't do the same thing as usual, you're going to say something's wrong, right? She listens to a certain kind of music. It creates a certain kind of atmosphere. This is all part of a microculture. So, because this is how two people who live together, who find a form of harmony, and that's the space in between is what I call culture. So this is between two people or a small household. Now expand this to a community, greater community of 20-some people, 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. So naturally there's going to be some kind of organic culture based on the resources that are available, the terrain on which you live, the kind of nature that you have. Let's say you're Latin American. Well, Latin Americans are very obviously known for you're more hot-blooded. It's part of the culture. So whatever sound you're going to make, because let's say you have a party. Before you're called a Latin American, you just live down below, right, in the south. So let's say at some point you're going to have a moment. You finish your labor in the fields. You want to have a moment. You're going to play music. Well, you're not going to play music like if you're in Siberia, will you? And if you're going to build an instrument, you're going to use the wood that's available and wherever you're at. So that creates already a sound, just by the environment in which you're living. So just allow that to expand. So people, when they live together according to their circumstance, their environment, what they've lived together over 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, so it creates the culture of that space. This is natural amongst human beings. So now what happens if you want to now weaponize that, or manipulate that, or control that, or psyop that? Well, you obviously can't. Why couldn't you? You need to just inject something in it. Because you know that human beings need. Well, you don't need it. You need it. It's like, do I need water? Of course I do. But you never say I need water because it's natural that there's water. It's obvious, if that makes any sense. So culture comes with human beings, just like your need for water. It's necessary is the word. To interject something in it, now that has to have somebody who has a particular kind of mind, who's from the outside. Because if you're on the inside, why would you're enjoying the culture, you can allow the culture to quote unquote evolve. But now I'm talking about you're on the outside, you're like, how can we change that culture so that instead of drinking this, they drink that? Well, we don't want to drink this. What is this? This is what we drink. This is our people. We've been drinking this for 1,000 years. Why should we change? This is obviously our drink. It grows on our land. My ancestors grew this, knew exactly how to take it, brew it, transform it. It fits with literally our genetics or our biology, and now you want to bring us this. This is not for us. This is not ours. So how now do I get from the outside you to get to consume this so I can take the attention away? Now that's an entire science on its own. But first we have to have a sense of what culture. Well, I'm trying to simplify it and explain it in a way that makes sense to me, and I hope it makes sense to you. And now, from this place, so it creates us. Okay, well now if I want to influence us, what do I do? First of all, I'm going to be on the outside, meaning I'm not of us. And then I have an agenda. I want to take us and lead it elsewhere. Why is another question, but that's the idea. So how now I can study the mechanism of culture. It's not difficult. And all I got to do is slowly interject myself and propose something else. But whatever I propose has to be irresistible. It's got to be laced with a form of drug that awakens certain things in you that are not part of your culture. Exactly like the serpent. So in the Garden of Eden, there was a culture. The culture is if everything's all good. Everything you need is there. You ain't got no stress. All you got to do is relax. You ain't got no problems. Everything is available. There is no violence. Everything is wonderful. Then comes the serpent, who's literally from the outside. He talks to the woman and says, listen. And the woman's feeling that snake. It's like, this guy's got something. This is something else. But she hasn't taken a bite yet. But the moment she took the bite, it's over. She took the venom in. That means something that's from the outside of her culture, which is laced, entered into her bloodstream, and that's it. It's over. What's this? I can't go back. It's like she was, quote unquote, awakened. Was she? But something was hacked into her nervous system, and from that point on, there's no going back. Then she turns around, goes see the sucker, says, yo, dude. He's like, what do you want? And he can see in her, this is not the same person. Something's happened to her. She's now infected by something. And that infection is a vibration, and he's feeling it. And she says, you should try this. He says, no, that's not what we do. We don't take this. It's not part of our shit. No, you should take that. Hint, hint, if you want to get laid. But they don't fuck yet. What the hell's going on? This is seductive. There's a seduction to it. You like that, huh? Okay. Boom. Great. So do you see what I'm trying to say? Something from the outside is interjecting inside of a bubble. And in order to influence the people in the bubble, it has to kind of give them something that is not part of that. But it's not just that. It has to have a drug to it. An element. I don't want to say that's evil or bad, because these words are going to be misconstrued. A drug factor to it. Something that's going to get you high in a way that you're unaccustomed to. And that the moment you get that high in your system, it's done for. You can't go back to normal. Okay, now I went from culture. I used the Garden of Eden as an example. I explained culture, us, outside. Somebody wants to affect culture, or genuine culture is organic. It grows out of people actually living together in certain circumstances. Now I'm telling you that there's somebody who wants to interject from the outside, understands the science of culture, and wants to impose on it something for a reason. I gave you the example of the Garden of Eden. This is just an example because it works nice. And go back to the first video of this series where I said the first time I listened to Michael Jackson. Well, I'm minding my business. I live in Saudi Arabia. We live in the desert. Not the desert, false. In the mountains. Below there's the desert. So we're in the mountains. None of that is there. This is Saudi Arabia. It's the Mecca of Islam, literally. None of that shit is there yet at the time. We're totally shielded from this. We live on a compound. All we have are the little car. We have nothing. None of that is there. So I know nothing. I live in a bubble. In Saudi Arabia, which is already a bubble compared to the Americana, and we live in a bubble in a bubble. Michael Jackson, just the word, the vibration of it. I never felt that before. What is this? And why don't I know? And why is it making me feel the way I do, which is I want that. I don't even know what it is. Why do I want that? I don't know what that is. What is that feeling of I want? The word is lust. It's awakening lust. No, you want more. What do you mean I want more? I have everything. No. You don't have everything. Do you have this? What the fuck is this? That's right. It's in the sound. It's built into the sound. Now I can take this on a beautiful tangent, and I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to remind you that in a lot of mythological stories, we can say that Lucifer is the inventor of music, as we know music. And if it's not Lucifer, it's an equivalent of Lucifer in another tradition. Some kind of like the one that's equivalent to that person invents music and brings music to the human. So music is an extremely powerful tool. I think it's by far the most powerful weapon. By far. Anyways, that's what I had to say about that.